The movie Us stars Lupita as Adeline. We start the movie in 1986 in Santa Cruz, California, where a young Adeline wanders off from her family and stumbles into a hall of mirrors where she encounters a doppelganger of herself. She is so traumatized she is unable to speak throughout the rest of her childhood. 30 years later, Adeline returns to Santa Cruz with her husband Gabe, Winston Duke, and their two children. Being back home brings back all the hurtful memories from her childhood. Things get even worse for Adeline and her family as they are visited by a family of doppelgangers. Adeline and her family must now fight off these evil doppelgangers in a fight for their lives. Interesting movie. I keep hearing a lot of people's renditions or reactions to the movie is kind of mixed. Now, the numbers for this movie just came out this morning, and it just hit 70 mil, which makes it the highest grossing original movie of a horror of all time, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, the hype about this movie kind of lived up to this expectation. Now, I think a lot of people kind of in mixed reviews of it because it wasn't a straightforward movie. Like, a lot of people, I think people are so immersed that they think that it's going to be just like Get Out. You know, they go into the facts of, oh, it's going to be like Get Out, even though he told you it's nothing to do with Get Out. It's a totally separate, different story. But even a lot of people went to think it's going to be like a slasher flick, and which in retrospect it kind of was, but it wasn't. It was a different type of horror. It was kind of on its own genre of horror, if you will. It was more of a psychological thriller with a little horror added in there, if that makes sense. Now, the positive I like about this movie was Lupita's character was just brilliant. I liked her doppelganger version of her better. To me, that's Oscar gold, if you ask me already. I mean, to me, that's probably the best performance I've seen already this year. The family was the two kids. I didn't too much care for the son, but the daughter, I liked the daughter, and I especially liked the doppelganger of the daughter. I liked that whole little dynamic they had going on. And Winston Duke, who we haven't seen a lot of, who played I think of Bombay, the one he played in Black Panther. So we really hadn't seen a lot of roles from him. He was almost a comedic relief to the movie. He was very funny. I liked his character. They kind of needed like a comedic relief kind of in that movie, even in like the depths of the horrifying scenes. He still was kind of comedic, what they kind of needed in that, because when stuff got real, it got really real in this movie. But I like this version of Jordan Peele horror because it's not like a black and white. It was more of a gray area as far as the themes of this movie. Like going into it, like I thought, I was like, okay, they're gonna be fighting within themselves, and that's, you know, that's who the person. But it ended up being a totally different story of who these people were fighting. Like they were fighting themselves, but not in the way that you thought they'd be fighting themselves. I'm not trying to give you the movie or give you any spoilers, but it's like one of the movies you kind of have to watch more than once. I wanted to go see it again this weekend, but I just couldn't make it and have the time. But I know I said Jordan Peele said that it like Get Out was a documentary and this is a horror movie, and it pretty much was a horror movie. There were so many symbolisms that a lot of people were getting this movie, far as the Jonathan 19/11/11, and there were just so many small aspects of the movie that a lot of people can take from this. So it's really interesting that we can have a film director in his second time out. So he's almost, a lot of people kind of comparing him to, if you really think about it, the young version of M. Night Shyamalan. So like the ending of this movie kind of brought me to almost like, if you guys remember the M. Night Shyamalan, when we all found out that Bruce Willis' character was actually dead the whole time. This is almost kind of like the exact ending, not per se, but far as shock value. Like the twist at the end, it's almost like 2 or 3 different twists that you don't see coming at the end. You just kind of like, wow. Oh, wow, I did not see that coming. And you could see the budget difference in this movie. Get Out only had a $7 million budget, and this one had a $24 million budget. And just some of the shots and scenes that they used in this movie were just beautiful. I can see this movie at least getting nominated, at least for 5 Oscars. I would not be surprised, if not more. But one of the best thing that stood out against this movie was the score by Michael Abes, or if I'm saying his name correctly, but he's the one that did the score for Get Out, and this is his second time around, and he killed I Got Five on it. Just to make one of the cult 90s classic songs into a horror and put your little twist on it, I mean, that was beautiful. Creep on in, on in, on in. But guys, tell me what you guys thought about this movie. Were you kind of not feeling it as a lot of other people were, or did you think it was an instant classic? In my opinion, I like Get Out a little better, but you can't really compare these two because they're so far different from one another. They're so to me, I did like this movie. I kind of left kind of like confused, like a lot of people. I was like kind of not knowing what I just saw, but I kind of like that aspect of leaving a movie and feeling kind of like, damn, what did I just watch? I need to go back and watch it again to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I think with some people, they get upset about that. Like, they want everything to be so cut and dry. They want it to be so, like a Saw, like a Freddy Krueger, like a Jason. But when someone, gets into the midst of your mind and makes you think about something, a lot of people kind of get upset and can't handle it because they want something so cut and dry. That's the thing that I think a lot of people love about Jordan Peele is that he's bringing you different avenues of horror that you wouldn't think to think about. So just something to think about. But like I said, drop me some comments, guys. Tell me what you guys thought about this movie. Were you a fan of it, or did you not really like it? As always, Mr. Movie X Tick is out, and I'll holler at you guys later.